Everyone, I'm Phil Lipoff. We are coming on the air right now with breaking news. A verdict has been reached in the trial of Jeffrey Epstein's former confidant, Chislaine Maxwell. Longtime Epstein associate is guilty of all but one charge she faced. Maxwell is not guilty of the one-count enticement, and that dealt with the victim who was just, or the alleged victim who was just called Jane in court. Take a look. There it is. The 6 counts she faced. She faced a total of 70 years in prison, and she was found guilty on 5 of the 6 counts, which she now faces 65 years in prison. This verdict just came down. I want to bring in ABC's Aaron Katersky, who joins us by phone. He was in the courtroom when this verdict came down, and also C.K. Hoffler, former president of the National Bar Association. C.K., stand by for 1 second. Aaron, this verdict just came down. I'm reading your notes from inside the courtroom. Tell us what it was like and what you heard.
Well, it all happened very fast. The jury took about 40 hours to deliberate this verdict, Phil, over the last 6 days. And tonight, Chislaine Maxwell has been convicted of all but one charge that she faced. She once ran in the circles of presidents and princes. She turned 60 in jail Christmas Day, and now she is going to be headed off to prison, potentially for the next 65 years. In all likelihood, she will face far less than that. No sentencing date was immediately set. It was impossible to read her expression because Chislaine Maxwell, like everyone else in that courtroom, wore a mask. But she was with her attorneys. Her siblings, 2 sisters and a brother, were seated in the gallery behind her. This verdict was undoubtedly disappointing. The defense said it needed some time to get itself together before it decided on any kind of an appeal. They also revealed that she has not had her booster shot yet, and due to the rapid spread of the coronavirus, they wanted to get Chislaine Maxwell boosted before they brought her back into court for any kind of sentencing.
Aaron, 40 hours of deliberation. You have been following this case as closely as anyone else. Over the course of the last 3 days, the jury had been asking questions, asking to have testimony read back, even today from the pilot of Jeffrey Epstein's plane. Tell us a bit about what they asked for and what that meant to you leading up to this verdict.
The jury was incredibly thorough. They asked for more than a third of the case. They asked for the transcripts of testimony by 13 of the witnesses, a third of the case. And so they went meticulously through all of the testimony of the accusers and then a number of the supporting characters, plus a couple of the witnesses called by the defense, including a defense expert who testified about the frailty of memory. That was part of the crux of the defense case, was that the whole case against Chislaine Maxwell, the defense said, was based on made-up stories and the false memories of these accusers. But it appears the jury disagreed and believed the women who testified, including a woman, Jane, identified under a pseudonym, who said that she met Chislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein when she was 14 years old, beginning years of abuse.
Now, Aaron, you mentioned Jane. Count 2, which she was not found guilty on, is enticement of a minor to travel to engage in illegal sex acts. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? That deals with Jane, right?
It does. The first 4 counts only really dealt with Jane's testimony. And it appears, based on one of the questions that the jury asked, that the jurors were confused by the charge, by all the elements that the government needed to prove in order to find her guilty of enticing Jane to travel when she was under the age of 17 for the purpose of having her engage in illicit sexual activity with Jeffrey Epstein. The jury at one point asked for a definition of enticement, and the judge declined to give one beyond referring the jury back to her legal instructions that the jurors were given before they began deliberations. And it sounded to the defense like the jury was quite confused about that charge, and they asked for all sorts of clarifications. The judge didn't do it. And in the end, Chislaine Maxwell was acquitted of count 2. But that was a relatively minor charge that exposed her to only 5 years in prison. The more significant counts she was convicted of.